Okay, I'm going to quickly go to Troy because Troy has just called in from New York, and I cannot wait to hear what he has to say. Good morning, Troy.
Good morning.
How's it going?
That's a lot of pressure, though, and it's not like shopping. I don't have a list of shows.
I know, but you know what? I think that people are really interested to know that, A, you're at a conference. And what is APAP? Can you tell people what that stands for?
It's the Association of Performing Arts Presenters, and it's a once-a-year conference in New York where all the booking agents, whose job it is to match up artists and performers with theaters, expo. They get together, they show off what they've got, and they say, here's who we've got going on tour next year. And so as a theater, we go down and see what seems like it might make sense for Worcester, and sometimes get so specific as to be laying out a calendar and looking at open dates. And sometimes it's really more general. It's more just a question of what should we be on the lookout for, and then over the next several months we sort of put details together.
See, everybody over here is like, oh, that sounds like so much fun. That must be such a great part of his job, right?
Yeah.
But, put it in perspective for us. How many people attend these conferences, and how many different promoters or shows are we talking about?
Well, there are about 4,000 people who come to this conference, and it is it's all over the map. I mean, a tiny fraction of it, or a fraction of it, is shows that would be applicable to us. There are thousands of performing arts centers at colleges and such that are out there booking violinists and harpists and chamber orchestras from Eastern Europe. I mean, there's all over the map, and lots of dance companies and things that are very exciting, but that aren't going to be the right fit for us. That aren't going to have 2,300 people in Worcester.
So does that mean that the blonde triplets are in or out?
The blonde triplets from a couple years ago, I think, are probably a long shot. No, nothing quite that good for this year. Although there's always look for the crazy show. My favorite ones this year so far, there are 3 parodies of the 50 Shades of Grey book.
3?
So far, yes. Yeah, my favorite one is Spank the Musical.
Oh, my gosh. I've heard great things about that. So it's so funny you say that, Troy, because that we get a lot of feedback and a lot of comments and a lot of suggestions. Oh, have you ever heard of this show? And it's just amazing how many different options there are, right?
Oh, yeah. That's crazy. Yeah. But this is fun. A lot of this conference too is showcasing. So many of these, mostly the smaller, not really when you get to the acts that play our theater, but the smaller kinds of shows are showcasing. And so they'll bring the artist in and they'll do a 20-minute performance in one of the many conference rooms in the hotel complex. And so it's got an artsy feeling. As you're walking down the hall, you'll pass doors where there's a string quartet playing, there's a jazz combo from New Orleans playing, they're all over the map. There's a dance performance. So I don't, I poke my head into those every once in a while when I've got a little break between meetings, but we're not really shopping via those showcases, but it kind of changes the whole flavor of the conference.
Oh, I think that's really wonderful. It must be really invigorating, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, it's a great place to be around. It's a lot of work. The way we work this is you sort of work in advance and schedule meetings with the 20 or 25 agents that you really want to talk to. And so it's, where am I going to be next? And every 20 minutes or 25 minutes, I've got another meeting. But
right.
You get them all in one place and do the FaceTime, and that's the way to make it work.
I think that's wonderful. And so, again, just to put it in perspective, you're talking about shows that we're probably going to be announcing for our 2013-14 season, right?
That's right.
So we're in January, and these are the contacts that you're making so that we can confirm shows by the time July, August comes around, right?
That's right. And the Broadway shows, which we'll announce in April.
I can't wait for that. Well, and for our subscribers, maybe as early as March, right?
That's right. 2 subscribers, yeah.
Right.
We're already in progress on those. Some of that's close to ironed out.
I know, and everybody is like, "Oh, give us a teaser. We're looking for a teaser," but you really can't do that, can you?
Oh, no, not on those ones, boy. I can't.
No, there's no inside scoop. There's no Oh gosh, spoiler alert here this morning
That's
as
right.
far as the legal announcement of these shows, because it's a big deal. It's a big process. And you're right, it is a lot of work. You have a lot of juggling to do as far as whether the shows are the right audience for Worcester, Central Massachusetts, for one of the top 50 theaters in the world that has 20,
That's right.
right,
That's right.
that has 2,300 seats to fill, not 500, not 5,000, but 2,300. And so what typically do you look for when you're at these conferences and you're talking to the different promoters and agents as far as what seems like it might be a good fit, knowing that you're also looking for something for everyone, because that's part of what makes us who we are, right?
Yeah, it's almost like two different conferences. With regard to the Broadway shows, it's about, there are only 4 or 5 agencies that really handle the shows at the level that we bring in. And so it's a question of what they've got on the road and what shows they have on the road in the northeast part of the country at what time of year. And, we can't do 3 shows in October. You have to sort of distribute it across the season. And so there is a little bit of juggling to see what makes sense. If we do this show, we can either do it in October or April, and if we do it in April, then we can't do that show. But if we do it in October, it's a puzzle, really, to put it all together, and they're trying to put it all together with 40 different markets, 40 different theaters probably across the country. So
Right.
that one is a lot of juggling. Then it's really, when you start talking about the concerts and comedy, then it's a little bit different. Now you're sitting down with agents who have a roster of artists that play theaters from 500 up to 5,000 or 50,000, really, arenas. And so they, you sit down and establish, okay, who should we be talking about this year? Who are the artists that are on this roster that would play to a 2,300 seat house? And that either means they're selling 2,000 to 2,500 tickets usually. It may mean that they're launching a new album or something, and they want to do some. Sometimes you get artists that play to more seats that'll play in a smaller venue because they're trying out new material. They want to play to a more intimate, sold-out house instead of arena that they're struggling to sell out. Sometimes you can really get somebody who's a big name for a theater like us, and then sometimes there are artists that are really up and coming, and the agents have a good sense of who they are, but we don't necessarily, and so they're saying, you should consider this. And so the trick is for us to have our ears open and pay attention and see what seems to make sense, because in a year, that artist will be too big for us, and it's about
Right.
getting them at the right time.
Right. And it's so tricky. It really is. And, you do the theater, and because you're the one that's out there booking it, we get a lot of really positive feedback about the breadth of shows that we're able to book into the theater. How do we find out about them? And we are always looking for feedback, right, Troy?
Oh, absolutely.
Right. So
Yeah.
we do send out surveys in our weekly email, oftentimes giving people a list of different speakers or different, say, country acts. In the past, we've done that, giving people a choice in kind of ranking and getting a litmus test of how well are these potential names going to sell. So, I do want to say that we do have an audience review line here at WCRN where people can call in to 508-792-5803. We're extension 231, and they can let us know how any show is doing, but they can also leave, well, I don't want to leave it open to suggestions necessarily, but feedback, and that includes on this program. So I know you can't tell us about anything that is potentially, under contract or pending, but can you give us an idea of what kinds of, say, music acts are touring in the next year? Not that, it's necessarily what we're going to have by any means, but who's out there? Can you?
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's see. Some of the artists that are out there that are possibilities for us are things like, let's see, James Blunt, Huey Lewis and the News is making another tour.
Ooh, wait, can I stop you right there? Huey Lewis in the News?
I know. This is the 30th anniversary of the Sports album, if you can believe it or not, which makes me feel really old.
Me too.
Lyle Lovett is out and touring and for dates, and he's sort of the right size for us. Some of them are the Doobie Brothers. There's old classic bands that are on tour. I mentioned James Blunt. The comedian Jason Alexander has a new kind of variety piece with a lot of Seinfeld humor and video, such that he's taken on tour, and so that's that's something that they're trying to sell. Oh goodness, let's see.
How about I know dance isn't a huge audience, but it's definitely one of those niche genres that we like to at least have one or two different dance troupes. And of course, there was a year we had Alvin Ailey, and that was, of course, a huge seller. But are there any exciting dance tours out there?
There are only a handful of dance companies that could really play theater like ours, a theater of our size. And, we tried Paul Taylor Company. We did okay with that last year. There is a chance at the Alvin Ailey Company again, which I would be very excited about if we could make that happen.
Oh, yeah.
But we did it last time. So
that'd be huge.
we'll still keep working on that.
Okay, Troy, it's very simple. You just need to go and book. How many performances do we have a year?
140.
Okay, so Troy, all you need to do is pick out 140 performances that everybody wants to come see, and your job is done, right?
I'll just do that. Maybe I can be back by tonight, and we'll all be done. It'll be good.
Could you?
Perfect.
Could you? And so typically, what kind of follow-up has to happen after a conference like this, just so that people understand it's not just going to the conference and all of these meetings. It's a big puzzle, not just for us, but for them as well. But what are the next steps there?
Well, there's some level of things that are so close to being able to just resolve that we can actually come back after the conference and contact the agent sometime over the next week and say, okay, we talked about this artist and it looks like we have these dates open, and let's find one that works, and here's an offer. And so send me a contract. Then there's sort of the next level where these are the folks that might be a fit that are going out on tour over the next year. Let's touch base once every month or so to see where we're doing, how we're doing on those, and what any new information here.
Well, Troy, thank you so much for calling in and giving us truly the inside scoop and behind the scenes and what's going on. Don't work too hard, and we'll see you in the office when you get back. Can't wait to see what you bring us.
I'm waiting for my kids to be old enough to take this trip with me so we can make it a little family trip. In the meantime, I'll just have to say hi to Carter and Charlotte and my wife, Jane.
Oh, Carter, Charlotte, Jane, hi from Troy in New York. Have a great day.
Thanks. Talk to you soon.
Okay, bye-bye. Okay, stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back with more Behind the Scenes here on WCRN 830 AM.